Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and it's time, Gorbad Ironclaw. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this character because he's quite well beloved. So, we got a lot to talk about today. As per usual, there'll be a decent amount of videos today, and if you are interested in more information, I will be streaming on twitch.tv/thegreatbookofgrudges. But let's jump into the faction effects. Has access to the plan, allowing unique and powerful tactics to be applied by your armies. Big thinking, in other words. Improved rewards from successfully completing a war. Income from raising settlements plus 15% for all armies. Global recruitment duration -1 turn to the minimum of 1 turn for faction-wide. This is going to be very helpful for you if you start expanding a lot. And then, when we go into the Lord effects, upkeep -10% for all units in the army, leadership aura size plus 100%, ability Orcs the Best, and finally the army ability Gorbad's War, so you get a new version of the War. When you look to your starting army, it's not bad. You start with some bolt throwers, a wide variety of different orcs actually, some boar boys, which is really nice, and finally some squigs. Squigs are really overpowered now, so you're jumping into 6.0 early when it releases. Regardless which greenskin you play, recruit as many squigs as you can before CA nerfs them. Now, let's jump in. There will be timestamps to avoid any spoilers.
In the fires of battle, a mighty war boss was forged. One of guile and cunning, where others know only brutality. No force can best this green tide. The annihilator of armies, destroyer of empires. Gorbad Ironclaw now claims his place as the greatest of all war bosses.
Get ready for proper mayhem, lads. More claws itching for some mangling.
So your campaign begins in Black Crag. Yeah, we're finally back to one of the original start positions in Warhammer 1 with a different character this time. Obviously, if you remember Warhammer 1 or a little bit of Warhammer 2, to your north, you've got a bunch of dwarves. To your south, you've got dwarves and Skaven. And naturally, to your right, you've got some Chaos dwarves. So there's quite a lot of different enemies, so you're going to be here having a lot of fun. But it's definitely going to bring the nostalgia of Warhammer 1 as you're going to get some orcs, march them north, and destroy Karazakarak. Right, let's talk about Gorbad himself. As he is the main legendary lord here, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with him. Stat-wise, he's pretty damn good, to be honest. He's going to be there to be fighty and killy, but also very big thinky. Now, when we look towards his unique skill line, we've got character experience gain plus 10% for all characters faction-wide and extra research rate. Again, big thinking. You're going to be able to boost up your melee infantry, orc boys, goblins, and everything faction-wide. Missile strength and ammunition for your army. You'll be able to get extra speed for your cavalry and extra charge bonus, even giving them Strider. Loads and loads of bonuses here, because you're not really going to be doom stacking, although you still can with Gorbad, but mixed armies are a massive incentive when it comes to Gorbad Ironclaw and his whole faction. Think about making an army for a tabletop game. It's essentially that. You want some archers, but you also want some big uns. You want some black orcs supported by some squigs. It definitely reminds me of, well, writing a list for Old World, for example. You also have a unique item, which is Morgor the Mangler. That's going to be there at rank 15. It's pretty decent. Magical attacks is pretty damn good. Causes fear. And that has a rather unique quest battle, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. The ability itself is pretty damn good if you want to start killing some characters. So a little blast from the past. You start off with your character in Black Crag. You start pushing your way up. Get the full area, and then start pushing into getting the territories around Barak Var, and then pushing your way up to Karazakarak. Little blast from the past. It's almost like we're back to 2016 again, but in a good way, in an actual good way. There's no set path for technology with this character because you're so specialized in everything. This is going to be one of those factions where you're going to want to go down a little bit with the orcs, but then go up with the goblins, and then a little bit for the center. It works out quite well. It's actually a weird everyman situation, which we haven't seen in a while, have we? And it's the same thing with construction. Every unit will be useful to you, as it ties up to your mechanic. With most of the other Greenskin lords, barring, say, Azag, you'll mostly be focusing on one specific pathway. Night Goblins with Skarsnik, Savage Orcs with Wurzag. Here, it's literally allowing you to open up your palette. So let's talk about some of the unique stuff. When it comes to Gorbad's faction, a lot of units are going to have access to brand new scrap. So you'll have the usual ones, but then maybe one extra. This depends on the units. Not all of them have unique stuff. This does mean that you have more to play around with when it comes to scrap. Scrap being a very common resource, especially now, so you can mix and match and make your army as killy as possible. Remember, these are Greenskins, they're built for fighting. And don't worry about the possible lack of scrap. Not only do you get that from fighting, but you can get it naturally generated for you via the Goblin Tinkerer line. So that's where you will get the Doom Divers from. I believe around the end it does 5 scrap per turn, and you'll naturally be getting these built up in various different major settlements. You'll end up with a fair amount to be able to support multiple armies full of 20 stacked troopers. Now that is complementary to his actual unique mechanic, which gives you a brand new resource. This is plans. You get that during battles, and that is only used on your equipped tactics. It sounds pretty simple, and yeah, it is, but the idea here is something very simple to add a lot more complexity to your actual armies. So this ties up to something called tactics, and you get that screen when you click on your armies. You'll have access to 3 of them, but you'll have to level up your lords to unlock the 2nd and the 3rd. And this is a system where you'll be able to add extra abilities, extra effects to your armies through the form of big plans, bigger strategies, and finally master tactics. You'll unlock these naturally as you progress through your campaign, but what you will notice, for example with Gorbad's boys, is you've got Gorbad and Orc boys. So you need to have those units in an army to be able to actually activate that plan. Gorbad and 2 boys. Or maybe with the squigs, you'll need a few squigs, 3 squigs. All these bonuses will come into effect with certain amount of units coming in. This is why I'm saying that the tactics will allow you to have very varied armies. You can have these with all your armies, by the way, it's not just Gorbad, so all of your different armies will have bonuses for a certain amount of time. There are cooldowns to it, obviously, and there is a certain amount of duration, but you can keep adding to it over and over. Like I said, you'll unlock these naturally as you start leveling up your characters, or getting into combat with archers, casting spells, specific lore spells. They'll get harder and harder as you go into bigger strategies and obviously master tactics, but that stuff is for later game. Don't worry, you can still beeline for them if there's any specific ones that you're looking for, but the main thing here is it's pushing you to try varied armies out, get a bunch of archers, get a bunch of spellcasters. It's a pretty cool system because I feel like Total War kind of pushes you towards one meta. It's been happening a lot with Warhammer, where it's, you know, go straight for Black Orcs if you're playing as Grimgor. Go for Chaos Warriors of Gorn if you're playing as Arbal. So I could easily say that I've been having a lot of fun being incentivized to use different things. You'll also have to build up certain buildings or get certain techs done. There's so much to be done here. It's something that looks very small because, let's be honest, the mechanic, when you're looking at it from the UI perspective, before you actually get into the depth plans section, it's very, very tiny. But it adds a lot of flavor to a otherwise very simple Greenskin campaign. And this also means that you're getting different plans with different armies to fulfill different roles. If you're going to be fighting against a lot of Wood Elves, for example, get the squigs and give them flammable attacks, which is absolutely hilarious. If you're going to be using Gorbad, boost up your Orc boys, give them Gorbad's boys a passive ability, and also reduce the upkeep for them, and the Boar boys too. To put it into perspective, even in early game, your armies get a lot more dangerous, and it does mean that you're going to be taking a Karak very, very early. Which means that after that, you can go into a massive destruction, maybe go to Wissenland and destroy Solent once again, because maybe Gorbad wants a trip down memory lane like we're having right now. With regards to war mechanic, well, you're supposed to be getting some better bonuses, so early on you'll want to throw out a boar just to get some big boys. Maybe some feral wyverns, that's always kind of cool. I've not really noticed a lot of big bonuses there, I'll be honest with you. Though the war that I did send off was only very close to 200, so maybe you needed a bit higher. Although the numbers did look a little bit better when compared to my Wurzag campaign, so you did get a decent amount of armored squig hoppers and super squigs if you wanted them, or lava squig rider archers, which are generally quite good. though the Feral Wyvern's probably the best way to go. Either way, you'll be hitting Wars quite often, and I don't think you're going to be getting delayed to get any of these targets, considering that Gorbad's armies are generally a lot stronger than the average orc. Now we do have a new legendary hero, Snaggler Grubspit, the questline of which will start as soon as you build up the first building for the spider chain, so, you know, spider riders and all that different type of stuff. And all you need to do is maintain a total of 6 units from the spider riders. There's no other quest after that. There is a little bit of a lore blurb. Let's read over it, because I really do enjoy these. When men from the Empire first cut their frontiers deeper into the surrounding forest, they unwittingly began the bitter war of the Drakwold that continues to this day. Unbeknownst to them, their deepest forays had encroached dangerously close to the most holy of sites to the forest goblin tribes. The sacred lands known as the Black Pit, or the Valley of Many Eyes. To stray near that dark and web-strewn place is certain death, for the forest goblins will stop at nothing to destroy any interlopers who dare approach it. See, Creative Assembly remember that forest goblins exist. It's nice. I like forest goblins, so it's nice to get the little bit of a lore blurb on them. And just like that, we get Snaggler Grubspit, probably one of the easiest recruitments for legendary heroes there are in Warhammer 3. He's got 2 rather powerful items, one that makes him quite good at assassinations, for example, and the other one which is pretty decent in melee combat. But where he's excelling at is being a support character. If you want a forest goblin army, he's going to help you there, especially since his trait gives you minus 40 upkeep for spider and spider rider units. This also counts for Ragnaroks. It is, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But there's more, because you can compare him to that of Gorda's Backstabber. He has 2 unique skill lines. The first one focusing on his own traits, giving him better contact effects, better damage, honestly making him really dangerous in combat, especially even getting some hexes, like stopping the enemy with webs, extra recruit rank and recruitment cost reduction for the spiders themselves, being able to summon spiders, and just a few different things. Honestly, at the end of the day, he's going to be a very powerful character. You can see from all that there. There's my cat screaming for me. Okay, he's got some treats now. But yeah, the normal skill line, pretty good. Overall, giving stalking stance to your army is also pretty tasty. But it's the second line which is better. Being able to get unbreakable or even extra physical resistance, massive physical resistance bonuses and defensive bonuses, extra attack bonuses, weapon strength bonuses, all for your spiders. Giving them snipe, giving them terror, giving them just unstoppable force, extra speed. It's wild. I've been playing around with a spider army, and it is very much what a lot of people wanted back in the day. And not only that, but you can give them regen with Feeding Frenzy. So yeah, if you like spiders, if you like a lot of spiders, you can use this and the character that you'll normally get from the tech tree to have a proper themed spider army. It's not really a full forest goblin army, as we don't have any of them on foot, but it's pretty damn close. Pair that with the new Ragnarok spiders, the spider riders that you can get from Wars, and your normal ones that you already have access to. Yeah, you've got a lot of variety there. Expansion with Gorbad feels pretty damn good. If you can see here, it's turn 37. I've already gotten rid of Barak Var. I'm fighting right now with Clan Angren, but Queek is already gone. Garak Azul, also Karazakarak. I've got a decent relationship with Skarsnik, trying to make sure that the other orc factions keep nice and friendly with me. Skarbrand is pushing up, as you can see there, though, so it's going to be a bit of a problem later down the line. But yeah, you can see that a few armies up and running, you're pretty much golden. Now, we are going to talk about the quest a little bit, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts. This is against some beastmen. I was actually expecting the quest battle to be reminiscent of the destruction of Solent. It would have been nice to have like a little bit of a time loop going backwards. Then again, this character is actually dead in the lore, but yeah.
So, eyes here in the basement don't want us here for some reason, boys. When I find them, I'm gonna take their orders. Ah, there they are, right out in the open. Them beastmen are done, but they ain't that done. Keep your eyes peeled for ambushes. They loves hiding in the trees. Speaking of trees, the scouts say they seen them tree men walking around there. They don't take too well to odd shopping neither. But you gets to what I says, and we'll chop them in their stride. Chop them all down. Trees, weaklings, everything.
Gorbad Ironclaw is another example that the Greenskins have a lot of complexity about them. He's definitely a character that a lot of people have wanted, and I think Creative Assembly have gone into the idea of trying to encapsulate the lore around this character. Mixed tactics, mixed armies. It's very different to all the other Greenskins, which were normally going to be focusing around specific things. The interpretation is definitely very, very lore-friendly. I like the idea of going like this, you know, really deep into the lore and just trying to find something like that, because it adds more realism to the game in that sense. If you've been missing out on mixed armies, mostly because the game, yes, does incentivize you to doomstack and do all these weird things, this character might be a breath of fresh air to you. It's really, really different compared to everything else that we've got in Warhammer 3 at the moment. So I have my own personal campaign going around with it, and I've mostly destroyed the Empire at this point. I've pushed and taken most of the World's Edge Mountains. I'm attacking from multiple sides, and I think it's very viable to do so. I've got a whole army dedicated to just squigs, but then another army flanking behind it with just spiders. Then Gorbad is mixed up with different types of orcs, a lot of boar boys, because when I used to field them on the tabletop, I used to make sure to bring as many boar boys as possible. Obviously taken to the fact that a bunch of stuff has been buffed up for 6.0, so, you know, squigs aren't useless anymore. So you want to bring normal squigs alongside everything else. Goblin armies feel a little bit more viable, I think a lot more viable with Skarsnik, but you do feel pushed here. You wouldn't always be focusing on the same lord, by the way. I felt that I wanted to have different themed armies going around all the places, so I did use Night Goblin war bosses every now and then. And then I did use an Orc boss instead of going for, say for example, a Savage Orc Great Shaman, which are pretty good in their own right. I don't think there's anything I would have improved on this character through my own, like, mind and stuff. It's what you expected from Gorbad, and I think that's what a lot of people have been looking for. My only real thing is I don't like the idea of the start of Black Crag, mostly because that's something that belongs to Gorfang Rotgut, rather than Gorbad, or even before then, Azag and Grimgor. But as a start, it's definitely quite good, because you have a lot of varied enemies. Yes, it's going to be loads of dwarfs and Skaven at the beginning, but that's kind of expected, because it's the Badlands. But you can easily push north and deal with whatever you want with the Empire there and the Undead. You can go to the right and deal with the Chaos Dwarfs, or you can go south and deal with, well, all the shit show that's happening in the south. It's also quite good because you can confederate Skarsnik early on, which does mean that you can get another character. There is no unique confederation mechanic for the Greenskins in this patch, barring the usual beat them down and confederate. It's a bit of a shame because there are so many Greenskin lords now, you won't be able to collect them all like you can do with the dwarfs in Thrones of Decay. Hoping that stuff appears in the future, because I think it's really, really important. People do like playing Pokemon, and I feel like Gorbad being able to get the other legendary lords would allow for a lot more of a fun campaign, because then you could have Grimgor with an army of Black Orcs getting some tactics, and then Skarsnik with mixed squigs and Night Goblins. Obviously, by that point, you could use the recruit defeated legendary lords, and I think a lot of people are going to be using that. But yeah, that's literally my only complaint. I think it's just more of a, that should be there for all the Greenskins at this point, rather than that. The tactic system is really, really cool. I like the idea of it. It's not just because it's mix your armies, but also there's so many varied things about it that makes it such a complete mechanic, whilst kind of looking small from the outer points. I can now compare the other legendary lords, and it does feel like Gorbad had the most dev time in terms of mechanic wise. Skulltaker has a cool one, Gorg also has a cool one, but Gorbad just has this massive furrow mechanic which just really makes him shine. It's definitely great to see the Greenskins get so much love again. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. Once again, I will be live streaming with Gorbad today, so pop by, say hi. There's about 3 videos coming out today. It's going to chill out a little bit more as we're getting closer to release. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.